Hello everyone, how are you today? Today I am continuing to work in my Less Hustle, More Jesus devotional by Shauna Noel. And I felt like doing something geared a bit more towards mixed media. And so I'm doing day 46 now. Normally, I don't record consecutive days because my last video was for this day. Normally, what I do is I'll do a few pages where I don't record, but I really wanted to record this particular day so that I can share with you, all of you, a different way to put some of your scrap pieces or your mixed media, maybe your jelly printed papers or that kind of stuff. Like I have a little bin filled with like papers and stuff that I just throw in there. So like for example, I have a piece of canvas that I'm planning to use. I have two different jelly prints. So that's from the Jelly Plate by Jelly Art. And I have this, I think it's just a piece of packaging. So of course I'm looking at the colors and I like the way that these colors look with the colors up here. I also have this, I'm going to call it a moth this time. That moth from the previous page that I didn't use. And I have these wooden hearts. The only hesitation I have with these hearts is because they are a little bit thicker than I would like them to be. But I think, I don't know, I'm just going to kind of think about that a little bit. But for now, we're going to go ahead and I'll share a little bit about this page. I'll get the papers down and yeah, and we'll get it done. So let's see what we have here. Day 46 is Lay It Down. And it talks about carrying problems around with us and how that can have such a heavy weight on us, right? Like smaller problems, easier, we can deal with those. But the bigger problems in life, whether it's from yesterday or from years ago, they tend to weigh us down and they don't have to. We don't have to allow that, right? So it says here, you can tolerate the smaller stuff for a while, but the big things like anger, guilt, fear, shame, you weren't designed to bear those burdens. You may be carrying something you picked up yesterday or years ago. Regardless, Jesus longs to lighten your load. Matthew 11:30, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And then John 8:32, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the video at this point. And I thought these hearts right here that I would use them on the page, but just know that I never did. But I did pull out from my stash all these pieces of paper, that piece of canvas, and those two pieces that are colorful, those I made using a jelly plate. If you don't know what that is, just leave a comment. But if you look on YouTube for jelly prints or anything like that, you'll find videos. I'm sure I have a bunch of them myself. But anyway, I felt like doing a bit more of I want to say a mixed media-ish type page. And the only reason I'm calling it that is because normally when I pull pieces together like this, I am making a collage. Now, normally when I do a collage, I am just putting pieces of paper onto, in my journal or on a canvas or whatever the case may be, and I'm using my matte medium or my Mod Podge, something like that. So this is different in that respect because I'm not using those products. I'm just going to use my regular wet adhesive. So I put everything together, and now I'm looking at those hearts, and I'm like, yeah, no, they just were not right for this particular page. But I knew I wanted to still put hearts on there. So I'm looking through my bin. I have a little bin of the products that I use in this particular devotional. And I found these hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. These are nice and flat and, and I like them. In fact, that cream color set of hearts, oh my gosh, I wish I had gotten more of those because I love them. I love them. So what I'm working on is in that layering of papers. Something when you have something like that, you can either staple it to keep it all together. You can take a photo to try to get it put back in place. But I'm like, I don't know. When I take a photo and I try to put it back, I don't know. Is it me or I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work out. It ends up different anyway, I guess is my point. So what I'm doing is I have this archival ink in a dark brown, and I'm getting just a little bit of color on all of these pieces. It's not so much of an edging, although it kind of is. I guess I'm just looking to make these pieces look a little bit more finished and a little bit more cohesive. And I just like the look of it anyway, right? So I'm getting some color on those two pieces of paper. And now this little scrap piece of paper is so fragile. I've had it on my desk for probably a couple months now. And I'm like, well, darn it. In fact, that's what started this whole page. This whole concept was started with that little piece of paper, just so you know. But on the back of the canvas, I'm just putting down my wet adhesive. And, you don't really need anything special for something like that, even though it's a bit of a thicker, piece of, I want to call it substrate, a heavier piece to put down. It'll hold fine with just some wet adhesive. Now, when I put down my pieces, when I'm collaging, and this really isn't truly collaging, but it kind of reminds me of it. You can see here, like on that edge, I like to overlap in a way where things are not totally even, so things will hang off of one another. They overlap with one another. You don't want it too uniform, for sure. And I didn't like that really straight edge on that top piece that I put on there. So I'm like, well, maybe if I move this moth down and everything, then maybe I can cover that up a little bit. But first I had to put a little bit more of ink on there because it was just too similar in color to that moth. So I just needed a little bit more color. So I'm going to very gently put this up there. I didn't push down yet because I'm figuring placement. And I really liked it like that. So then I pushed down that little piece of paper. And I went ahead and put the moth on there. I'm going to pull it down a little bit to help cover up some of that straight line on that paper. And I like that very much. And now it's time to go ahead and add some hearts. I wasn't sure. I was thinking about even pulling in maybe a little bit of orange. So I started with the cream color, and even when I'm putting the hearts down, you'll see I'm overlapping the edges of the paper. Again, to me, it just kind of unifies like that whole cluster down there. And I knew I wanted to pull out a little heart, a little orange heart, so I put that over to the right. And then I'm going to make my cluster of 3 hearts over to the left. And those two were too close, they were like lined up. And I don't like I said, I don't like things lined up straight. So I was really happy with this. And then I'm like, like, so when I cut out that moth, like around the antennae, it just looked a little bit too white, like I could see like the core of the paper. So I took this pen and I'm just kind of doing some outlining, and yeah, and I thought it looked really, really, really cute. And now I'm going to go around the hearts. Now when I outlined around the moth, I did it very sketchy. It wasn't neat or clean, and I did that on purpose. I like that look very much, and I was really happy with that. And as you can see, I didn't put any color on this paper. Normally, I like to start with some sort of paint or spray or ink or something. But on this page, I wanted that moth, that little cluster to be the focal piece on the artsy side of it. So yeah, so I left the paper white, and then I'm writing here Matthew 11:30, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Then what happened was, once I got once I got done writing this, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I have all this white space. Now, I wanted it white, but I didn't want it this white. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I was like, oh, I can't leave it because it just looks undone to me. So what I ended up doing was I decided to draw hearts. I'm doodling. That's all I'm doing is I'm doodling. And I'm trying to draw different shaped hearts. And I don't know if you've ever done that, but if you haven't, it is not easy. When you're trying to do a whole bunch of hearts together and you want them, or most of them, to look different and maybe go at a different angle from one another, it's just not that easy. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. And I'm like, okay, that's not enough. So now I'm like, what more doodling can I do with these hearts? So some of them I colored in and made them solid. Some well, like this one, I put little dots around the outside. Some of them, I did this where I like darkened the heart, and then on the outside of the heart, I put little a scallop around it. Very, very, very doodly, if you ask me, very doodly. And then some of them I did the dots inside, and some I just put some lines inside, and I like the way that it came out. I mean, I know probably the majority of you have at least one stamp set that has hearts in it. At least one, right? And I do too, but I'm like, I just felt like doodling and getting a little bit more artsy on the page. Not that that's really artistic, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and I love the way that it came out. But I'm not done just yet. At this point on the bottom of the page, I'm like, that is too white, and I've been using washi tape on the bottom of a lot of my pages, and look at all the color that one piece of washi tape brings onto that page. To me, it changed the whole thing. It just looked so much better with that washi tape on the bottom. And that's actually washi tape that I recently purchased, and it's for autumn, but of course with the colors on this page, I thought it was perfect. But I'm still not done. Oh, I'm showing you here for the next couple days. I already have stuff ready. I'm showing you there. I made some tags that I want to use on that page. But then I figure, oh my gosh, I forgot to put my little saying onto the page. And there were two there. The one above the one that I selected reads, "He will get me through this," but I decided to go with the sticker that says, "Have faith, be strong." And I thought that was the perfect sticker to put on here. So I'm just trying to figure out where it should go, and it ends up there. And you know, when I created these stickers, all I did was I tried to think of things I want to say on my pages that when I'm actually doing the page, I may not be able to think of it. But this way, I have a whole bunch of my thoughts down on these stickers, and I've been using them and I'm loving them. So now I'm just putting the date on the page, and this page is done. So I hope you liked it. Leave me a comment. Go ahead and subscribe, and have a blessed week. Thanks, everyone.